What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another beautiful day, sponsored by the sunshine, blue skies, and lawn chairs and a poolside environment. Anyway, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel and also drop a like for the video. That definitely helps out the channel. Get this information out to people who need to hear about it. So guys, we've been talking about the housing market, the Federal Reserve, interest rates, the mortgage environment, and well, here's the thing, guys. You guys know that my wife and I have been trying our best to pick up a property in Florida. We wanted to Airbnb it. We wanted to leverage VRBO. Basically, it was going to be a short-term vacation rental. But this housing market is just unreal, guys. And the Federal Reserve has not made it any easier for us. And some of you guys might be saying to yourselves, well, Ron, why don't you just take advantage of one of those 1% mortgage deals that's going on with Rocket Mortgage? But guys, Rocket Mortgage's 1% mortgage deal still doesn't make the deal's cash flow that we're looking to be able to take advantage of. So for those of you guys who don't know, basically we've been looking for a vacation rental in the Florida area. We wanted it to be a coastal property, like literally on the beach. And I know, first world problems, but this is something that a lot of people who are looking at purchasing properties in Florida, specifically condominiums, are encountering right now. So a lot of things are happening right now. You know, and the Fed has a lot to do with the things that are happening, but a lot of things are happening right now, even outside of what the Federal Reserve is doing with interest rates. But the thing is inflation has a lot to do with it. So let me go ahead and break that down just a little bit, right? And this is scaring a lot of people off, and I'm predicting that this is actually going to drive prices down, which could potentially create some opportunities in the future, but we're going to get into that. So here's the deal. So basically, there's a lot of new condo laws going into effect in Florida. Now, some of them are planned to go into effect, some of them are going into effect, and some of them are kind of like rumors, right? So keep in mind, what you see in one state will normally happen in other states. So just because I'm talking specifically about Florida right now doesn't mean that this won't happen in other states like Georgia or California or Texas or South Carolina or North Carolina. So keep this in mind, and I think you'll understand what I mean as we go through this video. So here's the deal, guys. Florida is implementing a lot of new laws, and there's a lot of shaking up going on right now. Basically, these laws in Florida are stating that buildings that are older than 30 years old and are taller than 3 stories, they need to undergo this milestone inspection for safety, right? Now, if you guys remember, in Miami, Florida, I don't know how many years ago now, sorry about that, my surgical sticky thingy, silicone strip, always comes off because my skin's a little oily, so I apologize for always pressing down on it. My doctor always says, hey, wear this thing for 23 hours a day, and I'm like, oh god, this thing is, I don't feel it, but it's annoying when it kind of picks up. Anyway, so Miami, Florida had a condominium collapse about, you guys could correct me in the comments, maybe it's 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I'm losing track of when that happened, but basically that is kind of what sparked this, among a number of other issues, right? So there was a massive condominium collapse with a lot of fatalities. I don't have the details on that, but basically this condominium did not keep up with the recommended maintenance. Engineering teams have gone in there and identified a number of different things that needed to be repaired, and ultimately they never did it, and the building at some point in time gave out, and it took a lot of lives, unfortunately. And so this is actually kind of what, in my opinion, was the significant precursor and reason behind a lot of these new laws that are coming out and being rolled out by Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. So, you know, and also buildings within 3 miles of a coastline, they're going to need to be inspected every 25 years. So, anyway, so basically the older your building is, the more likely you're going to spend a lot more money in HOA fees, because these HOA fees are going to have higher reserves in order to meet the building upkeep requirements, and insurance companies realize that an older building presents more risk. There's more likely for something to go wrong due to older code regulations and things like that. So HOA fees are going to be much more expensive, more than likely, on older buildings, even if they don't necessarily have the best amenities. That's just the way it is, folks. So basically, this uncertainty is creating a lot of potential condo buyers to just like hesitate. And I'm one of them. I'm literally just, I really want one, but it's like right now the numbers are not lining up. They're not lining up. Not to mention, I'm not thrilled about the amount of demand that I'm seeing on websites like VRBO and Airbnb in terms of the vacancies that I'm seeing on there. Now, the benefits, let's talk about the benefits to condo owners, right? So essentially, this actually makes the condos more safe. So that is a good thing, especially, I mean, think about it. Do you really want to be in a condo that's 10 stories off the ground, 15, 20 stories off the ground, and you're not really sure about the stability of this building? You don't want to be 18 stories up and then be questioning, how stable is this structure, if you know what I mean. So basically, buyers are going to have more information, including these different milestone inspections that are going to be required. There's going to be different like structural integrity reserves that are going to be done. And this, mainly it's going to detail the different types of repairs that have been made, the different types of repairs that need to be made, and of course the costs associated, right? So this actually opens transparency for buyers of these properties. And so I think it helps everyone to make informed decisions. I think that for buildings where they've been keeping up to date and doing what they should have been doing all along, there's going to be minimal impact to the values and valuations of those condos that are for sale. However, buildings that haven't kept up with maintenance, they haven't kept up with the reserve amounts, and they've been kind of like putting off repairs, those condos are going to be exposed for what they really are. And if they're behind, one of two things is going to happen. Number one, they're going to have to lower their prices because they're going to encounter buyers like myself who are like, hey, I'm not going to foot the bill for all these repairs that are eventually going to come, right? So like, let's just say you get a great deal on a condo, but then like 2 years from now, you get hit with a, an assessment. There's a lot of new terms that I'm learning that I never knew about because I never bought a condo before. And so there's a lot of terms that are associated with condo ownership that you wouldn't know of unless you've purchased a condo before or you're very close to someone who owned one and they maybe talked about it with you. There's a lot of differences between buying a home and buying a condo, and even more differences that you need to be aware of if you're looking at condos as an investment property, as a vacation rental, as a short-term vacation rental. Namely, one of which is how many units in a condo or condominium building are permitted to have short-term rentals. Got to know that. And something that's even more concerning going into the future is the city bylaws associated with condominium ownership. Well, not condominium ownership, but short-term rentals within a given city. I'm seeing more and more cities starting to put limits and caps on how many short-term rentals there can be. So you got condominiums that will limit how many short-term rentals can be in a building, but then you also have city limitations. And if they start requiring permits to be acquired before you make your property a short-term rental, that'll create a huge new set of problems. So I'm just putting it out there. These are some of the things that I'm learning about that a lot of people who maybe haven't dug as deep as I have so far, maybe you guys haven't encountered that. But if you have, cool. And if there's anything that you know that I could benefit from, because I don't know everything, please feel free to share it in the comment section down below. By the way, if you guys made it this far in this video, please do your boy a favor, drop a huge like for the video and subscribe to the channel and share this video with everybody you know. All right. So yeah, so, now here's the thing. A developer, they might look at these different condominiums and say, hey, maybe I'll buy out the majority of these units. Now, of course, if they do that, they want a discount on these properties. But they also might terminate the condo and just demolish the whole building, knock the whole building down, and build a brand new one. Owners, they might choose to pay for the necessary repairs to, be in compliance with these new laws, potentially increasing the property values in the long run. So there's a lot of different ways that this thing could go. So basically, they could knock the building down and start all over. That's an unusual. I think that's more unusual than the latter, which would be owners saying to themselves, "Hey, you know what? We'll just get this thing back up to code, and we'll increase our property values. We'll reinvest into the property, and the property will be worth more." So that is an option. Of course, they have to look at the cost of doing either one and figure out which option makes the most financial sense. Yeah. So now, me personally, I'm not really interested in a really old condominium. So I'm kind of thinking 15 years old at the max is what I'm looking at. So yeah. Now, obviously, this is going to have a huge impact on the prices of these condos, right? Condominium sales in Florida have been declining. I literally looked at a property in January of this year, 2023, and they had it listed, and I placed a verbal offer with my real estate agent just to see, hey, let's not even bother drawing up the forms for submitting a formal offer. Let's just make a verbal offer, see where the seller's head's at. So I made a verbal offer, and he basically said he would think about my offer, and he never got back with me. So basically, that was a polite way of saying I'm not interested, right? So here's the thing. I really wanted that property, so I kept an eye on it, and today it is still on the market. Now, keep in mind, this property has been on the market since I don't remember when he listed it. I want to say it was something like, all I know is that the property right now has been on the market for like 250 days. So I have to extrapolate how many, when that was listed, at some point, but 250 days. Now, here's the other thing. I've been seeing more and more properties with longer and longer days on the market, and it's getting wild. Guys, pay attention to the days on the market. I have identified several properties that I felt like, hey, I really like these properties, but they're a little out of reach in terms of what I think I can collect in rent versus what they're looking to sell the property for. And so these properties, beautiful properties, some of them, right? Some of these sellers, they're trying to sell them for like double the price that they paid for. Some of these properties are for sale for almost 1.5 times their purchase price. So if like, for example, there's one that was for sale. The buyer bought it for $800,000. They're trying to sell it for 1.8. And I'm like, nah, you just bought this like 4 years ago. And now you're trying to, and I don't blame them, you're trying to make a quick $1 million on the deal. But it's like, look, the property doesn't cash flow. I see other properties like yours sitting on the market too. I'm not going to jump out here and get my head taken off. So anyway, you got to look at your numbers. And for me, it's a want. It's not a need. And, I'm just not going to take on unnecessary risk. Not for that. That's just silly. So basically, Florida prices have been declining. Florida condo sales and the Florida condo values have been declining. So that's the thing. And I wonder how many of these owners, how many of these sellers can literally just hold out, because meanwhile these properties aren't selling. A lot of these properties are not even listed on Airbnb and VRBO. So they're literally just accruing these expenses, paying mortgage payments, paying HOA fees, paying insurance, paying utilities and all this other stuff, taxes, property taxes. Meanwhile, the property is sitting there vacant and it's just a massive expense. And they're hoping that someone comes along and takes this property off their hands so that they can make a nice, long-term capital gain off this property if they've had it longer than 2 years. Is it going to happen? Not if I'm the buyer. I'll say that. So, this disparity. Basically, buyers are hesitant because they're seeing the numbers. It's becoming more and more obvious that this is not a good move here. So, somebody's ball from the pool rolled over here. No, here it is. The ball from the pool rolled over here. Hey, I'll just throw this over. Anyway, kids playing in the pool. So, dealing with, there's a lot going on in Florida, and it sucks because Florida used to be very affordable for what it was, and over the last 4 or 5 years, Florida has gotten dramatically more expensive. Cities like Miami, Orlando, what is that area? Southwest in the Gulf side. I forget what that city is. Very popular city. Anyway, there's certain cities that had just become significantly more expensive. Destin, Jacksonville, Sarasota. Not a big fan of Daytona, but I think Daytona's values have come up a lot. But it's just wild how much more expensive Florida has gotten over the last several years. And and the thing is some of the cities' incomes, the local economies, do not even support the rents. Like if you did like a long-term rental, you a lot of times won't even cover your expenses, let alone cash flow on the property. So, and then on top of that, what's wild is, I was talking to, I was trying to figure out what would my payments look like. So I'm working with different lenders and whatnot. And some of these lenders were trying to convince me to do an ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, because they offered me the like really low interest rates. And I'm like, really? Is that 30-year fixed rate mortgage? He's like, well, no, this is an adjustable rate mortgage, but don't worry, you can always refinance in the future. And I'm like, yeah. All right, first of all, if you got an adjustable rate mortgage, say a year ago, when are you going to be able to refinance that mortgage and be better off? Because if you did that a year ago, today, if you refinanced, your mortgage payment would be more expensive. So it's like, you got to really watch out who you decide to do business with, because not everyone has your best interest at heart. And it's just really sad, and some of these companies, they know better, and they're just like, you know what, we need a commission check, we need to get some revenue into our businesses, let's just get these people to buy a house so that we can run up these transaction fees so we can get a paycheck, never mind if this family is going to be okay financially once they sign at the dotted line and put themselves on the hook, right? So I think that's personally messed up as a person. It's like, I understand you have a business and you're trying to make money, you're trying to generate revenue and profit, but you need to have some morals, right? And I don't feel like you should compromise your morals just to get a sale. I think that's pretty messed up. So I'm not on board with that. Now, okay. So anyway, there's lots of increasing costs and insurance rates in Florida. Let's not even forget about insurance rates, right? Lots of natural disasters have occurred in the last several years, and it's pretty much going to happen every year going forward. Is it climate change? Is it as a result of something else? I don't know. But all I know is I see category 3, 4, and 5 hurricanes in Florida like at least once a year, if not several times a year. And I think if it only happens once a year, then you got lucky. And a lot of these insurance companies were going underwater from just trying to satisfy the claims that have been submitted by policyholders of Florida property owners, right? So that keeps getting more and more expensive, driving up insurance rates. If you guys saw my recent video, I think in California, I want to say it was State Farm, they issued a statement that they are no longer accepting new policy applications in the state of California. So guys, it's like, this is wild. This is really wild. Now, I understand that there's some new laws coming into place that, are making it more attractive to bring insurance companies back into the state of Florida. I got to get more details on that. But simple fact of the matter is that costs are becoming more expensive and inflation is hitting different parts of the economy in different ways. And I don't know if the Fed planned all of this, but the effects of what the Fed's doing with interest rates is certainly having an impact on budgets, families' wallets, discretionary income, and the ability for families to go on vacation, right? Now, if people are not able to go on vacation, then what do you think is going to happen with these properties, these short-term rentals on Airbnb and VRBO? What do you think is going to happen with hotels and their hotel rates? Because at the end of the day, short-term rental properties are competing with the hotels. Now, most people like the short-term rentals because, hey, usually they're a little bit bigger. You can fit your whole family. Generally speaking, they have more amenities from a, let's just say you want to save some money. You want to cook wherever you're staying, cook in the condo, cook in the rental property. Generally speaking, a hotel is not going to have a stove. You'd be lucky if it has a refrigerator and a microwave. So a lot of families who want to save money and put more people into one room or under one roof, they'll opt for Airbnbs and VRBOs. But again, they're always in competition with the hotels. So if overall demand goes down for short-term rentals, that's going to force the hotels and the motels to lower their rates per night. And it may actually make them more attractive than short-term Airbnb properties, which will create more competition for landlords and investors who own these short-term rentals, because now they're going to have to compete more so with the hotels. Because if the hotels get so cheap, then families may say, hey, all right, I can't cook in my hotel room like I could in this Airbnb, but it's so much cheaper per night. Maybe we just go out to eat more often. Because, half dozen in one hand, six in one hand, half dozen in the other. Right? So in other words, if you can save money on hotel expenses, hotel room and board, then maybe you take that savings and, go to your favorite restaurant a little bit more frequently, since you can't necessarily cook in the room. Just a thought, right? But yeah, so, these, and let's not even forget car insurance premiums. I mean, like, look at Fort Myers. Massive flood thanks to Hurricane Ian last year, I think it was. All of thousands of cars just totaled out from being submerged underwater. I mean, insurance companies in Florida just got destroyed. Yeah, these are some real concerns. These are some real things that me and my family are looking at. I'm going to keep you guys posted and let you guys know how things are going. Drop me some thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I still think that real estate is a great way to build passive income and to create that financial freedom that you're looking for. But it's still, you always have to make sure that the numbers work. You see, when I was younger, my first 2 rental properties, I purchased those things without any education whatsoever. And it was a disaster for me. And it was unbelievably painful. I don't even want to tell you how depressed I was dealing with those properties for years. People not paying me, not able to get enough rent, dealing with evictions and whatnot. Oh my God, it was awful, right? But I was so mentally destroyed by that I never wanted to invest in real estate again. But what I realized is that it's not the real estate that was a problem, is that I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so I just want to share that little bit with you guys, because, even if you've had a bad experience with something, I want you to analyze these situations, because sometimes sometimes it's not the object. Sometimes it's not the investment vehicle that's the problem. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's the surrounding circumstances that made it bad. Case in point, right? Let's just say you got a knife, right? Got a beautiful knife, and you make the best meals with this knife, right? And you're making top-notch 5-star restaurant quality steaks with this knife. You're doing amazing things, but that same knife could also be used as a weapon. So is it the knife's fault, or is it the holder? Is it the user? So I look at investments the same way. It's not the investment per se that's a problem, unless we're talking about timeshares. I will never, ever, ever recommend anyone do a timeshare. I might make a separate video on that. Anybody who's got a timeshare and actually likes it and likes knowing that they're going to be paying for the rest of their life in perpetuity, please comment down below. But I will never, ever, ever in my life ever support purchasing or investing in timeshares. I think that's one of the worst things that anyone can do. But aside from that, when it comes to real estate, I think real estate is still a very solid investment. Just got to make sure that the numbers work, and do your homework before you get into it. Anyway, guys, drop me some comments down below. I just love hanging out with you guys, talking about these different topics that I'm personally passionate about and that you guys like learning more about as well. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me again. You should see a video here and a video here above my head. Go ahead and click on those videos and check out those after this one. I have so much more I want to share with you guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.